Do you ever feel that strange emptiness echoing somewhere inside, even though on the surface you seem to have everything you ever wanted? Maybe you bought a new phone that thrilled you for just a few weeks, until the next model came out. Maybe you finally got the promotion you had been waiting for, but the joy quickly turned into new responsibilities and stress. Maybe your social media is filled with beautiful photos, experiences, and achievements, but when you log off, you realize that the quiet emptiness is still there. This is an experience almost all of us know. Outwardly, it looks like we are on the right track, yet inwardly we are missing the most important thing: a true sense of meaning. Society teaches us to seek fulfillment outside ourselves, in what we own, what we can show others, or how close we get to the ideal of success. But the meaning of life cannot be bought on credit, stored in a bank, or posted on Instagram. And here comes a bold claim. True fulfillment is not found in shopping, in piles of possessions, or in the next success. True fulfillment lies in a deeper understanding of oneself, in the journey inward, not outward. Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss psychologist and thinker who devoted his life to exploring the human psyche, believed that modern man is lost precisely because he seeks happiness where he will never find it. He has clung too tightly to the material world and forgotten the inner one, to dreams, symbols, archetypes, unconscious desires and fears. And this is why so many people feel something essential is slipping through their fingers, even when they seem to have every reason to be content. In this video, we will look at what Jung can offer us, how to discover a sense of meaning that is not built on consumerism, but on inner transformation. We will learn why the illusion of more is so tempting, yet so empty, and what steps we can take to find something more lasting, something that remains even after the phone breaks, the trend fades, or success dissolves into memory. The empty promise of more. We live in an age that teaches us never to be satisfied. Consumer culture rests on a simple rule: you always need more. More money, more things, more experiences, more status. Advertisements repeat it to us every day. Social media proves it to us every minute. And society reinforces it. Because as long as we keep desiring, we keep consuming. As children, we hear, "You must work hard to get better grades." Later, "You must get a better job to earn more." And finally, "You must have a house, a car, a family, because that is success." This endless list of musts drives us forward, but few stop to ask, what if it will never be enough? And indeed, it never is. We buy new things and feel a short rush of joy. Maybe you put on a new shirt and feel better. Maybe you get a new phone and for a few days you hold it as if it were a little miracle. But then, habit sets in. The novelty wears off. And what remains is just another item in the drawer, another zero on the account, another thing that was supposed to bring happiness, but didn't. This cycle is endless. When it feels like we have finally reached the finish line, we discover that someone has moved it further away. You buy a car, but then you see your neighbor has a better one. You earn a promotion, but then realize your colleague is already one step ahead. You make more money, but that doesn't bring peace, because now you also have more obligations and worries. And deep down, we all feel the same truth. The material world can overwhelm our senses for a moment, but it cannot soothe our soul. The soul remains hungry. Carl Jung would say that what we truly long for is not things, but symbols of meaning. Our psyche does not crave another pair of shoes or a new series to binge. It longs for answers to the questions: who am I? Why am I here? What story am I living? As long as we try to fill this emptiness with more, we will never win. Because the material can provide comfort, but it can never provide meaning. And this is why so many people, despite success, career, and wealth, admit that they still feel empty, because they are trying to feed the hunger of the soul with food it was never meant to eat. Jung's call to the inner world. Carl Jung believed that true meaning is not found outside, in possessions, achievements, or social image, but within. Yet this inward journey is anything but easy. In the modern age, we have become experts at running away from our own thoughts. We fill silence with music, numb ourselves with endless videos, or bury ourselves in work, anything to avoid listening to the whispers that rise from the depths of our soul. But Jung insists, the very emptiness we are running from is the doorway to meaning. The collective unconscious and archetypes. For Jung, the psyche is not limited to the conscious mind, the things we're aware of. Beneath it lies a vast underground reservoir he called the collective unconscious. Think of it as humanity's shared memory, a timeless realm of myths, symbols, and recurring patterns. Jung named these patterns archetypes, universal figures and motifs that shape our dreams, stories, and deepest longings. When we ask ourselves, why does my happiness never last? Or why do I keep chasing more yet feel incomplete? The answer often lies in this disconnect. We've abandoned the deeper archetypal stories of the human spirit and replaced them with shallow tales of consumption. The shadow, our hidden side. One of Jung's most important archetypes is the shadow, everything we deny, repress, or refuse to acknowledge about ourselves. Our fears, insecurities, and unacceptable desires live here. But repressing them doesn't make them vanish. It only gives them power over us. Maybe that's why we keep buying things, trying to cover up a sense of inadequacy. Maybe that's why we chase achievement, hoping it will silence the voice we're afraid to hear. But the shadow only grows stronger in the dark. Jung challenges us to face it, because when we do, we unlock a hidden source of strength and creativity that can transform our lives. Anima and animus, the inner opposites. Jung also taught that each man carries a feminine aspect within, his anima, and each woman carries a masculine aspect, the animus. These inner opposites shape our relationships and inner balance. When a man rejects his sensitivity, he becomes cold and rigid, yet deep down, he yearns for connection and softness. When a woman suppresses her strength and independence, she may feel powerless, even though immense potential lies within her. Jung believed that true wholeness comes only when we integrate these opposites, embracing both the masculine and feminine, the light and the dark. This call to the inner world is difficult because it demands courage, the courage to face ourselves without masks. But until we do, we'll remain trapped in the empty cycle of more. Only by going inward can we begin to discover something lasting, something real. Archetypes of meaning. Jung never believed people are born empty. On the contrary, each of us carries a rich inner map, full of archetypes waiting to be awakened. They are not abstract theories. They are living patterns that guide us toward meaning. The hero's journey. The call to self-discovery. Perhaps the most universal archetype is the hero's journey. We see it in myths and movies. The hero leaves home, faces trials, descends into darkness, and returns transformed. Jung would say, this is not just a story, it is your story. Each of us is called to a journey of self-discovery. It's not an easy path. It requires facing the shadow, losing what we thought we needed, enduring hardship, and rising again. But it is this very struggle that gives our life a depth that no amount of possessions or success could ever provide. The wise old man or woman. Another timeless figure is the wise elder, the inner guide who appears when we feel lost. In stories, it is Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings or Dumbledore in Harry Potter. But in truth, this archetype lives inside us. It is the quiet voice of intuition, the inner compass we can hear only when we are still. Modern life drowns it out with constant noise. But in dreams, meditation, or honest self-reflection, this voice returns, and what it tells us is often more valuable than anything we could learn from the outside world. The self, unity, and wholeness. Finally, Jung spoke of the highest archetype, the self. This is the symbol of wholeness, the state where all parts of us, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, masculine and feminine, are united in harmony. Jung called this process individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who we truly are. Here lies the ultimate source of fulfillment, because once we accept all of ourselves, not just the parts we like, we stop chasing meaning outside. We no longer need to buy it, prove it, or display it. We realize that meaning isn't something to acquire. It is something we already carry within us. Practical steps to discover meaning. Jung was never content with theory alone. He believed that every person could actively work toward discovering their own meaning and living a fuller life, and he offered concrete pathways to do so. Dream analysis and active imagination. The first path is dream analysis. Jung saw dreams as gateways to the unconscious, messages delivered to us in symbols. Our dreams are not random noise or meaningless brain activity. They are the language of the soul. Every image, every situation, every character in a dream reflects something within us. That's why Jung encouraged people to record their dreams, study them, and look for recurring themes and images. He also developed a method called active imagination, in which a person consciously engages in dialogue with the symbols from their dreams or visions. Through this process, we begin to uncover the wisdom of our own psyche and gradually move closer to wholeness. Creativity and authentic self-expression. Another practical step is creativity. Jung himself painted, drew mandalas, and urged his patients to engage in art, not for the result, but for the process. Creative expression allows us to give form to what cannot be expressed in words. Painting, writing, dancing, music, it doesn't matter what form it takes. What matters is giving voice to the inner images, emotions, and energies we carry inside. In today's world, creativity is often dismissed as mere entertainment or a luxury, but Jung would say it is a pathway to the soul. Authentic self-expression is one of the most direct ways to reconnect with our inner truth. Discovering your personal myth. Finally, there is the idea of the personal myth. Jung believed that each of us is living a story, even if we're not conscious of it. When we don't know our story, we risk being pulled along by the expectations of others, by advertising, by cultural norms. But when we discover our personal myth, we discover direction. Your myth may be the path of the hero, the healer, the creator, or something else entirely. It doesn't need to be perfect. It simply needs to be yours. Ask yourself, what story am I living? What story do I want to live? What symbols and themes keep repeating in my life? The answers to these questions can reveal the deeper meaning of your journey and the mission that is uniquely yours. Living an integrated life. Finding meaning is one thing, living it is another. Jung spoke of a process he called individuation, the journey of bringing together the many parts of our personality into a unified whole. It is not a single achievement we cross off our list. It is a lifelong process. Balancing the material and the spiritual. Living in integration means learning to balance the material and the spiritual aspects of life. We don't need to reject possessions or achievements. They are not bad in themselves. The danger lies in making them our only source of meaning. Jung invites us to use our resources consciously. We can earn money, own things, and pursue success, without forgetting that true value lies not in what we have, but in how we live. Building relationships of depth. Another key dimension is relationships. Modern society often pushes us into connections that are shallow or transactional, something for something. But an integrated life calls for relationships of depth, relationships where we meet as whole beings, where we dare to be authentic and vulnerable, relationships that enrich us instead of consuming us. Individuation as a lifelong process. And finally, individuation itself. This is Jung's term for the ongoing journey of becoming our truest self. It means gradually integrating all aspects of the psyche, the shadow, the anima and animus, the conscious and unconscious, into one living whole. This journey never truly ends. Just when we think we've found ourselves, a new challenge arises, a new shadow emerges, another hidden part of us asks to be seen. But therein lies the freedom. Meaning is not a final destination. It is the way we walk through life. And when we live in integration, the endless craving for more begins to dissolve. We realize that the most essential thing, the source of meaning, was within us all along. As we look back on the path we've traveled today, we begin to understand that the true meaning of life is not found in what we own, but in who we are becoming. The material world can offer us comfort. It can bring moments of joy, but it can never satisfy that deep longing for fulfillment we feel inside. Jung invites us to find the courage to step inward, to meet our shadow, to embrace our inner opposites, and to discover our personal myth. Only when we accept the whole of who we are, with all its light and all its darkness, do we begin to live a life that is authentic and full. Meaning is not something the outside world can hand to us. Meaning is something we discover when we dare to look within. And once we find it, everything around us, our relationships, our work, our daily actions, takes on a new depth and dimension. So ask yourself, what is your personal myth? What story do you want to live? And what small step can you take today toward greater wholeness and true freedom? Write in the comments, what has helped you discover a deeper sense of meaning in your life? Was it a book, a relationship, a crisis, or maybe a moment of silence? By sharing, you might inspire someone else on their own journey.